Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I am Ty, one third of the most powerful duo or trio in veteran podcasting. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you catching the live on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also catch us on recorded, but we'll get to that in just a second. I want to give a big shout out to our panel from last week. Julie Austin, Rich DeMonica, Jason Redmond, Javon Mosby, Dennis Butterworth, Rich Woodring, and the absolute cool stylings of Dusty Rudd. Appreciate them coming on. Wax Poetic About America. Great show. Lots of feedback from it. So appreciate the feedback and getting on TikTok, especially from some of those reels. Appreciate that. This right here, if you don't watch the live show, you can catch our podcast anywhere you get your podcast: iHeartRadio, CastBox, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. And this is Aubrey Lynn. She's a United States Marine Corps veteran, musician, mommy, and patriot. And you can catch her on episode number 86. Today we got a really cool show. Songwriter, storyteller, artist, and Army aviation veteran. She's also a lawyer. She does it all. She's going to wax poetic about a lot of different stuff, talk to her in the green room. And my wife and I have been listening to her music for the last week here, so love it. It's absolutely awesome. But we got Matt with us today. So Al's not going to be here, but let me bring on Matt and get us started.
Yeah, Matt was almost late, but that's another story. It's okay. But I'm here. Shout out to the Thai truck. Thanks for being longer than you've ever been in your life to make food. I really appreciate that. But I'm sure the food's going to be good when it's cold in a couple hours. So whatever. I'm happy to be back. Sorry I missed last week. I heard it was great. I heard there was a lot of good conversation. So thank you to everybody that attended. Happy birthday, America. Remember, America turns 250 this year, but that doesn't mean you got to stop celebrating July the 4th. Celebrate it all year. We can just make this a Paris Hilton birthday. You know what I mean? The whole year. It's going to be great. Excited for our guest today. I'm excited to just kind of jump into it. Ty, what kind of questions do you have? What you got going on?
Not much, man. So you got caught in this Houston traffic, or what was going on? You said you were behind.
The brewery is like 2 minutes from my house. It's always like a 10-minute cook on Thai food, right?
Right.
Except today, everybody wanted Thai food. It was great, but it's going to be really good. I'm sure that Becky and Cole are enjoying all that good Thai food.
Right your boy's home? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's here for like internship.
Yeah, you'll get the cold stuff.
They'll put it in the microwave and pretend like it's warmed up when I'm ready, I guess. It's okay.
But yeah, you said you wanted to get right to it, but big shout out to Al Hero. He's out doing some stuff with the family. Happy birthday to your family member. I don't want to say her name. Don't know if we can do that or not, but let me read Hope MacGregor's bio before we bring her on. Hope MacGregor is a songwriter, storyteller, artist, and Army aviation veteran. After 8 years in the active duty military service, Hope put down her uniform and found herself in law school. Then, in the middle of a global pandemic, in the middle of school, her car broke down, her grandmother died, her dog got cancer, and her husband ran off with some blonde to Texas. Sorry to laugh at that, Hope. With the encouragement of her father, MacGregor picked up her old guitar and pen. She started writing songs. After graduating law school, Hope moved to Jackson, Tennessee, where she found a town full of the best kind of music scene, one full of talented, authentic artists that support and care about one another. In short order, she put together a band and over the last few years has released 2 studio albums, toured nationally, been featured on musical festival lineups with Grammy Award winning artist, and was recently named a rising star in Tennessee music by the Tennessee Entertainment Commission. Hope's music is a unique blend of Americana, blues, country, and honesty. She knows how to speak to the most tender parts of life with songs like Why Dogs and For Now, but it's MacGregor's own brand of take no crap humor in her writing with songs like Screwed and Sloppy Seconds that keeps folks coming back for more. If you want to get to know Hope, just ask her about her beloved lab, Lucy. And I've already kind of asked her about Lucy, but let's ask her right now, ladies and gentlemen, Hope MacGregor. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Hello.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good. So just real quick, so everybody already knows, and they, I mean, I guess everybody was thinking it. You only became a country music singer because you lived a song simultaneously, right? Like that's just, it's fate, dude. Those are all of the ingredients to make a good country song.
Yeah, that's the David Allen Co. like perfect country and western song, just like my version of it, right? Like my mother would never end up in prison. But yeah, that's definitely kind of the tagline, and it's okay to laugh about the blonde and running off to Texas because it's just the truth. But yeah, I mean, we do have to rewind the clock a little bit. I didn't like just pick up a guitar in my 30s. I actually joined the Army to piss my mom off because she wouldn't let me drop out of high school and go to Nashville. So I think I might be like one of a handful of veterans these days that like joined the Army and not gone the music route. And I've just kind of come full circle back to it.
Nice. That's great. Well, I will tell you, we appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that one, you guys reached out to us just to say hello. And then as soon as I read it and I was going through and I was like, helicopter pilot. First off, you get to talk to someone that was a helicopter pilot. That's amazing. On top of being a female veteran and a helicopter pilot, even better, because that means, you know, you've got all the best stories because guys like to tell the dirtier jokes in the helicopter when you're flying it. And then you became a lawyer. So then I was like, oh shit, you went from like flying helicopters to being a lawyer. And then it was like, and now country music. I said, yep. Again, in your promo video, the triple threat, we gotta talk to her. Right. So thank you for coming on. Thanks for making the time. We really appreciate it. And I can't wait to learn all about all of those stories and see where it took you.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to be here. I really appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah. So what we like to do, since we're jumping right in, we like to get to know all of our guests along with our audience. And so one thing that we like to do is just kind of figure out the beginning, right? So we just like to go over like, where are you from? What did you do growing up, and what was life for you like younger, right? We're gonna get to the part where you made your mom mad, but what happened before that? Where are you from? How was it growing up? What kind of things were you doing when you were younger?
Yeah, I'm not an Army brat, but we did grow up all over. I was born in Oklahoma. We lived in Texas for a little while in Texarkana, and then we moved up to Central Illinois when I was in, I think, first grade. But I've got kind of roots all over the place. That way I spent a lot of my summers down in Oklahoma. So I say I'm like purebred Midwest gal, I guess.
Did you really live in Texas though? You lived in Texarkana.
I know.
Is it just because you were on the Texas side of that?
We were on the Texas side of it. And yeah, I mean, Texarkana, at least back in the 90s, was not a super savory place to be. And the Arkansas side was the side that had the drive-through liquor store that my mother would go through. And then we lived on the Texas side, if that tells you anything.
No, I'm just messing. Texarkana is cool. I like the place in Texarkana where you can stand in all of them at one time, like they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where anytime the states meet like that, you can go like everybody's standing in something different. You know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's commit a crime and just step over the line. Be good to go.
Yeah.
So for you growing up, moving around, so you was Illinois after moving to Illinois, was that the place that you kind of stayed through childhood?
Yeah, that was, smack dab in the middle of the cornfield. That's where I would say I like really grew up. Got my first job at 12 checking papers in the neighborhood, and then worked in horse stalls, cleaning stalls before school, and then worked at a quilt supply company. So I'd say like that's where I did a good majority of my growing up.
There you go. And so what kind of, doing all of that, it sounds like there was a lot of work in that. What kind of things did you do for fun growing up?
Music. I mean, I really, people ask like, when did you start singing? My grandmother would tell like her blue-haired ladies at the grocery store that I could sing the Sound of Music soundtrack before I could speak a full sentence. So I did music. I loved community theater. So I was a big stage nerd doing all that stuff. And then took piano lessons and then voice lessons. And then in high school, started playing the banjo to try and impress a boy. It didn't work. So yeah, I was doing music. I was in a pretty elite choral ensemble. I hate to admit this, but I did do like a community show choir called Kids Incorporated. That was definitely an interesting experience, but yeah, it was music, work, and school for me for sure.
Kids Incorporated was like a national thing though, right? Was it?
I think it might have been, but this
For
was
some
definitely
reason, I
like
remember that growing up as a kid where you would see that all the time, like on commercials or TV or whatever. So I feel like that was not like you're saying, I hate to admit it, but I think that was a big deal back then. Like, you know, it's like almost like going on Star Search a little bit, right? Like you made it into something that's pretty big.
This was not that. There might have been a Kids Incorporated. That was that version. This was like the Central Illinois version.
Oh, okay.
And that program definitely taught me how to lose. Like there were really talented kids in that program. And so every time I tried out for an audition, didn't get it. And I was like not the best dancer and probably not the best performer. So that, as much as I kind of joke about it, like that organization did teach me how to be a small fish in a big pond as opposed to like a big fish in a small pond. But yeah, that was it. I worked, I did music, and I went to school. That was kind of it.
And where did music come from? And is there any music background in your family?
You know, my mom and I laugh about this all the time. As best as she can tell, my Aunt Martha had a beautiful voice on her side of the family. And my dad like could kind of sort of play guitar. Like he's the one who taught me how to strum an A chord for the first time. But no real, like I got it from my granny kind of thing. Nobody in my family is like tone deaf, but I'm definitely the one who went whole
You're the
hog on it.
chosen one. You're the chosen one. There you go. There you go. Yes. I love that. So, okay. So tell us the story. So what made you think dropping out of high school was the move and moving to Nashville? Like what happened for you to go, yep, this is what I need to do. I need to drop out and go do that right now.
Well, as any good teenage girl will tell you, a boy told me that he wanted me to. I was in like a pretty mediocre bluegrass band. And the guy who put it all together, I was just madly in love with him. And he was a year ahead of me in high school. And so he was getting ready to graduate. I was getting ready to, or I guess it was his senior year, my junior year. And he was telling me that he was going to go down to Nashville and that he wanted me to go with him. And so I told my parents, Mom, Dad, the plan is for me to run off to Nashville with this boy. And they laughed dead in my face.
Still learning to lose.
Yeah, 100%. And my mother said, yeah, that's just so not going to happen. And so then it was like, well, you go to college for a year and then we'll both go to Nashville and I'm done with high school. And then I was a nerd. You know, my older brother was definitely the cool kid who got invited to all the parties, and I was the loser in my room writing songs on a banjo. And so my plan was, you know, go to Nashville. And my mom said, no, your grades are too good. You have to go to college. So she had been collecting like a stack of college brochures. And my dad went to OSU. My granddad went to OSU. I had cousins who were at OSU. And so I was like, well, if you're going to make me go to college, I'll go to Oklahoma State, go Pokes. Like Cross Canadian Ragweed and Pat Green were really coming up at that time. And so I was like, well, I'll go Texas Red Dirt Country. And my mother was of the opinion I could go to a school that maybe had a better, more rigorous academic program than OSU. Sorry, Cowboys. We love you. So she had all these college brochures and we got in this fight summer before my senior year. And she was like, well, if you're going to go all the way to Oklahoma, you might as well go to, and just grab the top brochure and said West Point. And I said, fine, I will. And that's how I got into the Army.
Wow. So you went to West Point?
I did.
Oh, man. Wow. I was about to be like, I mean, no, everybody understands Oklahoma State was good enough for Garth, though, right? I mean, you know, like, you could have been playing the same, places that he was at, but then you wouldn't have some kick-ass stories before the music scene. You know what I mean?
Oh
So-
yeah. And I mean, I think my lucky stars, because I think if I had been born to a different mother, I wouldn't have a backbone. Like my genetic predisposition is not to necessarily be super strong-willed, but I was gifted a mother who taught me how to be. But I think if I had run off at 18, 19, 20 into an industry with some really lovely people, but also some people who will absolutely take advantage of a young woman, I think I would have completely lost myself. So I am not mad at all that I got to go be with Uncle Sam for a while and learn some more life skills, find my own voice a little bit more before I stepped into this world of entertainment, if you will.
So West Point was pulled off the top.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. So once you applied to West Point and everything was going through, like, did it take a while for you to hear back from them? Because I know sometimes the process takes a long time. What was your process to get into West Point like? Because, I mean, if you're living in the middle of Illinois, it's the country, it's farmland. How many people that you went to school with or knew in your town when you're like, I'm going to West Point? They were like, where's that? Like...
I was like that. When she said West Point, I honest to God could not have told you the difference between the Army or the Navy and the Air Force. We were not, like, both my grandfathers were drafted, but they didn't ever talk about it really. Like there's one picture of my grandfather MacGregor in Korea, and like it's just kind of a favorite family picture of him, but like he never talked about it. Like and my granddaddy was World War II, and so like that it was what it was. And then he moved on, but I knew them as a salesman and an accountant. I didn't think of them as military, so I had 0 point of reference. But I got online and I like filled out the little initial application. And I guess just was blind to all the like flags and uniforms and duty on our country on the top of the website.
Well, you were a teenage girl mad at your mom, so you gave 0 Fs in what any of that looked like.
None whatsoever. And so I got the like packet back in the mail, and it was like physical fitness evaluation, congressional nomination, dental exam. And I'm like, what?
I was going to college. What's going on?
Yeah. So then I did some more research and kind of, I mean, I'm just gonna be dead honest. I was really attracted to the elite nature of it. Like the acceptance rate was harder than Harvard, and obviously like not, and then there's a lot of medical disqualifications. And so there's just a lot of stuff that like, I really was, and I hate to admit it, but it's just the gosh darn truth of like, well, hell, if I can get in, like that's an achievement in and of itself. And also my mom can't complain if I can get into West Point, like get out of here, Kate. So then I just went whole hog, like all eggs into that basket. And yeah, I think that would have been like maybe July of 2006 that I kind of committed to doing that. And then I think it was like October, I had all the paperwork completed, and I now know that it was a letter of assurance that basically once my congressional nomination came through, like I was in. My mom and I were done. We didn't know what that meant. And so we're kind of sitting there like, it just looked and kind of read like any other like college, like conditional acceptance letter of like, if you're good enough, we'll let you in kind of thing. And then a few weeks after we got that, a field force rep called and was like, hey, I'm looking at this as saying that your daughter has a letter of assurance. And my mom was like, a what? And he was like, she's in, she just needs the congressional nomination. And we were like, oh. So I
knew that the whole time.
Yeah. I knew in pretty short order that I was going to, as long as Representative John Shimkus did his part, which he did, I was going to go. So I think it was like by December that I had the official,
how crazy
portfolio.
Is that? Their office called you and said, this is all you need, but we'll get it to you in like 6 months. No big deal.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. So you graduate high school, you go to West Point. Mm-hmm. You go from playing music and bars and running around and doing all the free spirit things that music allow you to do, like just living on the wild side. And then you get to West Point. What was your first thought the moment you walked on campus and started going through all the gauntlet that is going to a service academy?
Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember. I don't know that I really remember. I remember the night before I was in a hotel room with my parents, and I remember like not being able to fall asleep and just kind of going and crawling in bed. And my dad woke up and he was like, "Is everything okay?" And I just started crying. And he just was so sweet. He was, patting my back and he was like, "You can do this. I know you're a little scared, but like this is going to be fine. This is going to be a great adventure." And he gave me a little pep talk, and I think what I remember feeling is like, okay, childhood's over. Like there's no more screwing around after this. But yeah, I think once I got through that night and woke up the next morning and like had to put my hair in a bun and I can't put in my contacts, I got to put on glasses and like put on these goofy low quarters and black socks. Like, okay. Like, and I think just walking out of that hotel, I don't know, I think I maybe blacked out for a little while.
I mean, you're going to a place and you're like, well, at least everybody else has to dress like this too. So I don't feel bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all wearing the same stuff. So that's crazy good.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about your experience at West Point. I'm sure Service Academy's the first year is unique, right? Because I hear a lot of people talking about their first year in the Service Academy. It sucks real bad, but it's like extraordinary. When you look at it, when you're going through it, you're like, this is, I effing hate this. But then when you get done with it and you look back, you're like, dude, it was so awesome. So for you, what was your first year?
I mean, it's one of those things, like, I think you read about it and you go like, oh, you can't talk outside of your room the whole freshman year. It's like, yeah, but you get used to it. Like, ooh, you have to go pick up other people's trash. It's like, yeah, but you get used to it. Like, there's a lot of that stuff that being a human is so bizarre because objectively, like, do I appreciate being able to talk outside of a room? Yeah. But that whole first year, it just becomes so normal that you don't think about it anymore, really. And I don't know, I know I was growing up doing music, but I was really, I suffered deeply from like probably psychopathic version of perfectionism. And my brother jokes and he tells people that I'm the only person to ever graduate from a basic training more relaxed than when she walked in. And it's true. Like, I think that first year, again, taught me like, I am not going to do all of this perfectly. And there's some of this stuff, like I worked really hard for a C in world history. It was the first C I'd ever gotten in my life, but it taught me like, there are going to be things in life you work really hard at and like average is going to be fine. So yeah, I mean, I think it taught me a lot. It obviously set me up for success in life, but then also like, I got to join the Glee Club and do some incredibly cool stuff. Like, we recorded a song with Trace Adkins for one of his albums, Till the Last Shot's Fired. I got to travel with the Glee Club, perform the national anthem at the Army Navy games. So like, there was a lot of stuff that if you kind of find your right group there, if you go through and you don't try anything, like that's going to be a miserable existence. But if you go find a club or an extracurricular activity that like really feeds your soul, with people that are fed by that, I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah. Did you have a revisit of your experience being in the childhood auditions for music where when you got to West Point, you went, oh my God, right? Because I'm sure with your grades and the level that you're at, getting into West Point where you came from means you were at the top of the class educationally, right? The top people get into the service academies. A lot of people don't realize that, but you have to be exceptional to get into those. And you kind of alluded to that. The acceptance rate is harder than Harvard and Yale and some of those because of all the requirements and the standards, right? So when you get there, what was it like for you seeing a whole bunch of people that were just like you and then realizing I might, and I don't know if you were, so I'm just imagining because we hear it from a lot of people, but I might wind up being just average out here. Like, this is crazy to me, right? Educationally, academically, thinking through things, you came from one where everybody's like, oh, she's smart. And now you're like, wait, am I, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's getting into that arena where everybody has high expectations, high standards. They push the bar. They're overachieving at a lot of stuff. What was it like for you kind of going through that? And did it have a little bit of a feeling of doing the auditions and almost getting there, not quite getting the part, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think one of the things that is just harder about art or like artistic ability is that so much of it is subjective. Like it was very easy for me at an immature young age, look at the girl who did get that solo and come up with all of the reasons as to why, well, she shouldn't have gotten it, or like, oh, they just like her hair better, or I do think I'm better than her and they just don't know it. Because it is kind of a subjective world, right? Like whether that person's voice is better for this, or person A versus person B. Whereas at West Point, like it's pretty cut and dry. Like either you did the obstacle course or you didn't do the obstacle course. And so in some way, I think it actually like was easier to stomach the things that I ended up average at, but also because I knew I was doing my best. And so it was easier kind of to accept like, okay, well, I didn't get the top grade in that class, but hell, I worked hard and that person got more math problems right than me. Good for them. And I could just kind of keep things moving a little bit better.
Well, that's interesting because that's why I was at, you were like, I got my first C ever. And then, you know, that's me assuming, you know, what happens when we do that as guys, but people are like, I didn't know how to handle it. I got to see what's going on. And, you know, you realize it's going to be a lot of hard work there, but you know, also when you look back to going to the service academies, not talking for the first year, having to pick up other people's trash, you know, I would think just from my, you know, from our backgrounds of being on the enlisted side, that's teaching you that no matter how high you get, there's still people that you're there to support, or people that you still like servant leadership, right? Like you still have to do the shitty things in order to make the hard things matter, right? And so I think a lot of people would look at it and go, you picked up trash? And you're like, yeah, but I mean, would you pick up the trash for your mom, you know? And you're like, oh, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's cool to see that. So 4 years at West Point. What was the record Army Navy?
Okay. I knew this shit was going to come up.
You even sang.
We won the March On every year. That's for daggum sure.
The March On, nobody sees that on TV. We're talking about the scoreboard. That means it was 0-4 for you. That's what this means right now.
I'm not going to say it.
I just did for you. Sorry. Oh, you know, away from the cooler.
So the football, here's what I love to tell people. Our football team, all 4 years that I was there, we lost at the Army Navy game. But our rowing team, like our crew teams, men and women, and our sailing teams, men and women, beat Navy every year I was there. Explain that to me.
Okay, cool.
Please.
I'm glad you asked. Perfect. Glad you asked. Rowing and sailing with a real sail and oars means it's a lot of physical activity on the water. And when you're at the Naval Academy, you're learning how to have other people do that work. So technically they really won because they willed you guys to winning those, because they knew that they weren't going to have to oar anything on a destroyer or a carrier. That's all I would imagine from that. But also, nobody even watches the freaking rowing and the sailing. It's only the football, right?
Yeah, I know, but point of pride, y'all got to get it together. I mean, come on.
I mean, did we though? Did we?
Oh man, yeah. No, the Army Navy
they're just pushing buttons on a ship anyway. Don't act like they're doing anything. Like they're like the computer. Yep, push that button. I mean, it's good to go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my grandfather was in the Navy, and I don't know how y'all do it. I'm not great on the water, so I don't think I was ever cut out to be on a boat, honestly.
I agree with you 500 million%, because I did 22 years in the Navy and I never went on a ship one freaking time.
For a dental appointment, right?
I did. I went one time. I went to the dentist on the Blue Ridge, and I got lost leaving the dental clinic, and they back then we wore woodland camis in the CBs. And so when I came off, they thought I was master at arms, like a cop on the boat. And they kept saying, welcome aboard. And I was like, we're about to have man overboard drill. Not happening. Because I was like, I do not want to hear anything turn on. And then like once you're out there, I was like, what are we doing? But I was in the Navy and I never went on one. So whenever I meet a whole bunch of guys that were in the Navy and older guys, you tell me to go on a ship, they try to say that, I wasn't a real sailor. And I was like, you're probably right, but you're welcome because I helped you join the Navy. But I don't know. It's all good. We all do our thing. But yeah. Shout out to the rowing team and the sailing team at the Naval Academy from 06 to 10, right?
07 to 11.
There you go. Go Navy. Beat Army. Except
beat
in sailing
Navy.
and rowing.
Oh my gosh.
So what made you decide in your time at West Point that flying a helicopter was the cool thing to do? Why'd you choose that route, or did that route choose you? Because sometimes it's the other way around.
Yeah, I think there was a combination of a few things. I had a bunch of friends who were going aviation, and I had a bunch of friends who were going military intelligence. And so I was kind of like, well, I like these people and I like these people. So I'm going to go MI or I'm going to go aviation. And the way branching works there is like the Army sends to West Point, like, these are the number of aviation slots we have, the number of infantry slots, whatever. And then you get racked and stacked. And you get to put in your preferences of what you want. And then all the math gets done by the computers and you get your branch assignment. And I knew when they published the numbers of how many aviation slots they had, I knew I was high enough in the class that if I put aviation first, I'd get aviation first. And if I put military intelligence first, I'd get military intelligence. And I was talking to my brother about it on the phone. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he just goes, man, if they're going to pay you to go fly helicopters and you don't choose that route, you're a bigger dumbass than I thought you were. And so that was that. And
light bulb. You're not very intelligent if you don't go fly helicopters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was it. I hopped on and I put aviation and then just kind of goofed around after that. And that's how I ended up flying helicopters.
Nice. That's awesome. So, you graduate in 2011. You go to school. What was it like going through school to learn how to fly a helicopter for you? Like, walk us
Oh my
through
gosh.
Well, first off, before this time, had you ever flown on an airplane or anything in the air ever? So okay.
Yeah, I had flown on airplanes as a kid, not a lot. My first flight home from West Point, I flew out of Newark, and like our hometown airport in Springfield, Illinois had like one gate at that time. And so like you just got to the airport and you were there. And I remember flying home out of Newark and I didn't know that you could have multiple terminals. So like, thank God an upperclassman like saw me standing in the middle of like terminal A or whatever. And he goes, MacGregor, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm trying to figure out what gate I'm at because it wasn't on my ticket. And he goes, let me see your ticket. And he looks at something on his phone or whatever and realizes that I'm in the wrong terminal. He's like, you're in the wrong terminal. I'm like, what other terminal? What are you talking about? So yeah, I had flown, but not extensively. Okay. So yeah.
So when you got in the first time, you weren't like, oh shit, I don't even know how this is. Well, I mean, you probably still are, but not as bad as it could have been if you'd never flown before, right? Because you just like your parents took you to college. It's not like you flew to that, you know what I mean? Unless you guys all flew together. So what was it like going through school to learn how to fly?
Oh my gosh. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Socially, it was a ton of fun because I rented a house with 3 of my flight school classmates, 3 dudes. They lived upstairs. We had a 3-story house. I lived in the basement, in the walkout basement to like the beautiful 2.5 acre yard on a pond. So we were the party house and we had too much fun. And then it was insanely difficult. I mean, I hate it when people say like, it's like drinking out of a fire hose, but genuinely, y'all, I'm not kidding you. We had our like second day of classroom classes. So we went to basic officer leadership course and then we start the actual flying portion and go to classroom first. And there's a full helicopter in the classroom that's like cut in half so you can see inside all of it. And this old Vietnam instructor gets up and he's like, this is the transmission cowling. And I raise my grubby little hand. I go, excuse me, sir, what is a transmission? And he goes, stay after class. And so I spent, for the first, I think, probably 3 or 4 months, I would go to church on Sunday morning, and then I would go to the on-post library. And I mean, that's, if anyone's going through flight school and listening to this, that is my secret weapon. The people who work the library at Fort Rucker are your best friends. Like, those dudes have nothing better to do in life than to raise the next generation of aviators, and they want to. And so I would go after church on Sundays, and I would sit in the little mock-up helicopters. I would do all my studying. They would quiz me. They would show me things. I would practice my startup procedures, and truly like dove headfirst into all of it. So it was a ton of work to catch up to a lot of things that, like, what is a turbine engine? Like, but it was so much fun. We had way too much fun.
There you go. Do you find, and I don't know, this could be a yes or a no, that's kind of like when you're in school and you're friends with a guy, speaks fluent Spanish, and he failed Spanish. You're like, how the fuck did you fail Spanish, dude? You speak it. And he's like, well, they're speaking legit Spanish, right? So do you think not having any knowledge of that stuff at all and not ever having to do it, do you think it helped you to learn it because you're like consumed in learning it? And did you see anybody struggle that thought, well, the answer is probably yes. People that are like, oh, I got this. This is easy. You're like, really? You might want to go back. You might want to go to the library with me this weekend. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think actually, people talk about being a woman in the military is hard, and it definitely comes with its idiosyncrasies. I will not discount any of that. But I do think there's an element of, like, sometimes it's nice to be expected to not know what the hell you're doing. Like, nobody expected, a little 5'6" brunette girl to know anything. And I had no pride about it. I was not ashamed. Like, yeah, I grew up playing a banjo and a guitar in a show choir. I didn't fix cars with my dad. Yeah. And so I had no pride about not know, like, there was zero shame for me to raise my hand and say, like, I don't even know, will you say transmission count? What is a transmission? And so I think in that way, like, because I didn't have any pride attached to it and I didn't have any shame about not knowing it, I think that really freed me up to let people teach me and teach me well what I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Probably help the guys in the library seeing you walk in the door too, to go like, I just really need to know this. And they can see that you're like, I really want to learn, which probably helps them pour into you too. Because anytime you meet someone that wants to learn the shit that you know, like genuinely wants to learn, not just I got to pass this test to get out, you know what I mean? But like, I want to learn it. Even when anybody I've met that's like, I want to know about this, sometimes you're like, well, I hope they really want to know, because they're going to find out like right now, right? Because they're going to give you everything, you know what I mean? You can ask the questions. Yeah. And so that's cool stuff, man. So, graduate flight school. What was your first unit?
I was with 717 Cav out of Fort Campbell.
Ty's stomping ground.
Air assault.
Yeah. Yep.
So getting there, going into the unit, well, before that, so, and I'm going to ask a dumb question, right? So when you get out of flight school, you can fly a helicopter, but can you really fly a helicopter if they wanted you to when you get to the unit? Or do you still have to do some stuff to qualify to be able to fly it? Yeah.
So there's, so you graduate with however, like 200 some odd hours, I guess, 150 some odd hours. And I think most people don't think like you're decent at all till you definitely pass 500 hours. And so there's a whole nother, you're called readiness level 3, I think, when you get out of flight school, and you need to get to RL1 to deploy. And so, yeah, there was a whole other separate training process.
Always training.
And yeah. And every unit's a little bit different and a little bit unique on how they do things and the formations that they fly and the different language that they use. And so there was a whole other era of learning from and also learning from dudes who have like just got back from a 2011 deployment to Kandahar, right? So like I'm talking people who are like fresh back stateside. I'm walking into their unit and they are ready to A, keep me alive, and B, keep dudes on the ground alive, because we knew we were getting ready for another rotation. And so, yeah, there was a lot more time in the cockpit and studying for sure.
So before we get into that part of preparing for the deployment, I missed and I forgot to ask, and I should have, what was did you have one of those scary ass moments in school learning to fly that you were like, holy shit, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this? Like just being in the cockpit, something happens that you think is detrimental, but they're like, all you got to do is just do this and you'll be all right. But like, was there any moments that you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it? Not that you can't learn it, not that you can't go and be taught it, but like being in the actual helicopter, you're like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Learning to fly, there is so much information happening in a cockpit. And when you first start out, you're just like, what do I call the thing between my legs again? Like, oh, cyclic. Okay, got it. Like there's just too much stuff happening to really know what's going on around you. So the first story that comes to mind is I think we were still in the first phase of training and we were just learning auto rotations, which is if you lose your engine, how to crash your helicopter safely, basically. They don't glide, they fall.
This is how you crash safely, guys.
Yeah. And so, I mean, these instructor pilots are like dropping the throttle. You have basically no engine power and they're teaching you how to fall out of the sky correctly, basically. And we were coming in and then you practice different landings, right? Like landing to a point versus a run-on landing. And so we're practicing run-on landings and we're, straight and level, lined up with the runway. And I didn't even looking back now, I remember hearing the noises and seeing the lights, but all I could really hear was my instructor pilot saying like, hold what you've got it. Great. Pull a little more collective. Okay, let's cushion it. And we're down. And then like, once we're on the ground, I realized like, oh, the rotor blades are slowing down and I don't hear the engine noise. Like our engine stopped. Like we did an actual auto rotation and I had no idea what was happening. This IP was just like, okay, he was on the controls with me for sure, but like, I didn't know we were in a real auto rotation.
Wow. Well, that made it probably easier for him to walk you through it because you didn't freak out, but then it also makes you go, dude, the engine was stopped and he was like,
wasn't there.
No big deal. Whatever. We landed though, right? We're walking away from it. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it kind of made me go like, at that point I was like, okay, I've learned how to hover. I'm working on my landings. Like, okay, I can do this. And at that point I kind of went like, oh my God, there's still so much I don't know. Like to realize that like my vision was like this big in the cockpit and his was this big to the point where I didn't even realize our engine had gone out. Like that definitely was a pucker factor moment for sure.
That's crazy. So you go to your first unit, Fort Campbell. You guys are working up for deployment. Mm-hmm. How long did you do your workup for? And I also am interested, once you got to the qualification to be able to deploy and fly, what was that like for you?
Yeah, our train up was weird. So I got to Fort Campbell October of 2012, and then we had a rotation to JRTC. And it was just like a weird time. Like they weren't deploying the whole Kiowa unit. I flew the OH-58 Delta Kiowa. They weren't taking all of our troops. They were just taking one troop. And so I had to fight tooth and nail to get down to that troop. But I did. And so I went on a JRTC rotation and that was like where I did almost all of my pre-deployment training because we were on like a fuel restriction. We had a budgetary restriction at home at Fort Campbell. And so really the only flight time that like the unit could afford based on those budget restrictions was maintenance test flights. And so I went down to, if I'm remembering correctly, I went down to JRTC RL3 still because I didn't have a lot of flight time and I hadn't done a lot of the checklist things I needed to do. So I got up to RL2 down at Fort Polk. And then when we got home, I could go on maintenance test flights because I was RL2. And so that's where I ended up doing a lot of my pre-deployment training was like going out and flying with maintenance test pilots, doing rotor blade tracking checks and FADEC failure things. And so that was kind of my pre-deployment training really. So not great.
Well, but I mean, how beneficial was it for you to be able to go onto those maintenance test flights though, with the maintenance crews and then looking and listening for different things? And if they heard something I'm sure you're able to debrief and go, well, what do you mean that happened? And they kind of tell you those. I mean, I'm sure that stuff is like invaluable information to have. It kind of puts you in the seat where the guy that you were flying with in school was, where you're like, oh, I heard that click. That's what, you know what I mean? That's what this means.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like all of that certainly made me a better aviator, 10,000%. But when like you can't go shoot at the range, when you're going to deploy with a helicopter that has a Hellfire missile on it, but you've never shot a Hellfire missile, you know, like you kind of go like, well, I'm glad I know the rotor blade tracking system. I wish I had done this once or twice in real life. So yeah, there were some things I definitely felt ill-equipped for when we got downrange, but I mean, short order, you fly every day with some of the best pilots, doing the real deal. And I think I got spun up pretty quickly. So
let's talk about the real deal. So you get the order, you know, you're deploying, you're going, where did you deploy to?
We went to Bagram. So we were RC East. So we covered kind of between J-Bad and down to Kabul, kind of that area.
What was the mission set of the helicopter you flew? What were you guys doing?
Yeah, we were the Army's small but mighty recon platform. So the OH observation helicopter, and we were kind of the Apache's little brother, right? Like, so we would a lot of hours were spent doing route recon for convoy missions, and so we were just flying up and down over convoys. By the time 2014 rolled around, the ground situation was such that most regular Army units were doing a lot of just kind of quote unquote handover to the Afghan National Army. So most of the stuff we were covering with our regular brothers and sisters was resupply logistics stuff. And then there were some ODA attachments that we did some more direct action stuff with over there. So just a lot of, hey, we're looking for this guy. Can you go get updated pictures, patterns of life assessments? So, you know, in an 8-hour flight window, we're going to go we're just going to kind of casually fly by this village a handful of times and see, what does it look like at 4 p.m.? What does it look like at 6 p.m.? What does it look like at 8 p.m.? Who's out, who's not out, all that kind of stuff. And then feed all that back down to the guys who are going to go direct action it. Because there's only so much you can see from a satellite image over time.
So what you're saying is you wound up being a helicopter pilot and still doing intelligence, right?
Yeah, it was a perfect marriage. I loved being a recon gal.
So do you have a story or two of your time on deployment where did you ever have to fire the missile? No,
we only had one aircraft that had Hellfire on it. And we rarely took it out. They're so daggum heavy, and we were a single engine platform in pretty high altitude environment. And the Apaches always had Hellfires. And so if someone needed a Hellfire, let's call the guys who have like 4 of them, you know, kind of thing. So we mostly rode around with rockets and 50 cal, and of course our M4 out the door. So, yeah.
So can you walk us through a story where you had to employ those things when you're out on a mission? Did you ever have to do that? Did you get caught up in some of that stuff?
Yeah. Pretty much every time we knew the ODA attachments were going out, we knew something was going to happen. I'd say the I don't know where they're all bad. But certainly the worst one.
Can we describe the first one and then do the worst one? Yeah.
So the first one was, I was actually flying left seat. So the right seater is your pilot weapons fire switch person. Your left seater is the person talking on the radio. And I was flying left seat that day, and we had a dismounted patrol that was out, and it was starting to get hairy, just like a lot of local nationals around them, surrounding them. We knew the conditions were ripening for things to get a little hot and heated. And so I was flying with a guy named Brody, and I was getting a little sick in the left seat because I was leaned out the door looking at the guys on the ground while he is doing one of these numbers. And yeah, they started throwing rocks, and then they started popping shots. And then I ended up taking the controls and flying for a little while. and letting Brody hit the weapons fire switch so that I wouldn't get sick out the door. But yeah, that one didn't feel like much just because it wasn't really super intense. It was just one of those like crowd control things that kind of got out of hand. That was the first time I felt like a real Kiowa pilot, because we got back and did all of our shutdown stuff, and Brody goes, "Well, you actually flew her today, ma'am." And I was like, "Okay, great." Like I was in and out getting where I needed to go quickly to cover the ground guys.
Yeah.
So
that's super cool. All right. So now we talked about the first.
Mm-hmm.
Describe the worst.
Yeah, the worst was the first part of the story is that a detachment went in, and this was the confusing part about being deployed in 2014, was like we knew where the bad guys were. Every time we went in certain places, things would pop off, and we kept getting told like, stop going there. It's like, well, are we in a war zone or are we not? So this detachment had gone to this village and up in the Alisay Valley, and one of their guys got shot through the neck, and it was just, there was no even calling the 9-line medevac. And so then there was obviously like a lot of bad blood and things getting pretty heated. So that was the precursor then to the mission that we went on. And 2 of my guys got shot that day. Whoever we were messing with down there obviously had a sniper team, because one of my guys took a round to the chest plate, and then another one got shot, he says, up through his left love handle. So that was a really bad day. And then everybody wanted to go back. And yeah, the stack was really high that day. I mean, they were A-10s, ISR platforms all over the place as they were in there. And so we were dropping smoke grenades, and we weren't supposed to be shooting in buildings unless American force was pinned down and unable to maneuver. So the number of times I heard pinned down and unable to maneuver that day, pretty significant number of times.
Yeah,
so that we could actually shoot where we needed to shoot. So
ma'am, do me a favor. You just said a word that really piqued my interest. I was electronic warfare for half of my career. Can you tell for our viewers, tell them what the stack is in the air and the airspace and everything?
That's what I was just about to ask.
Yeah. So the stack is what aerial platforms or assets do you have available that day? And for us, like, deconflicting airspace is obviously a very important thing because midair collisions are real. And yeah, so there's always a briefing of what's the stack look like, and you'll kind of delineate who's going to be at what altitudes so that nobody's crossing streams, if you will. So yeah, we always took, 50 feet off the ground to 150 feet off the ground was our portion of the stack. And then usually you're going to get like your A-10s and F-16s above you there. And then there'll be some more maybe fixed wing assets above that have some special features available to them. There'll be sometimes UAS up in the air as well. So yeah, it's just the stack is literally who is stacked above the ground force for that mission.
So for you going into, sorry, Ty.
No, I freaking love that. It makes that part of the job in EWO is just so cool. The effects they can put on targets and how the combined, it's almost like a combined arms. It's combined arm breach from the air. Anyway, go ahead.
So going into that, being in that one that day with so many, assets stacked in the air, what was it like for you to be in there and just like seeing it all go on, right? Because at this point you've flown a lot, right? Now you're in this situation, and in this situation, 2 guys, one was shot in the chest plate, one was shot in the side. You're still trying to navigate through all this stuff. Like, walk us through like what it was like to be there and see it from the air and everything that was going on around you. It's like probably this is me. I'm not a pilot, and I've never been in the air like that, but I'm imagining I'm watching Independence Day. There's people chasing the aliens. That, you know what I mean? Like when you got that much up there going, right, and you only have your little space, you can still see everything going on. And what's it like to see all that?
Yeah, I mean, was incredibly proud of like my team, right? Because as the midpoint between the ground guy and the rest of the stack, like we end up kind of playing quarterback a lot of the time. You know, you've got your JTAC on the ground and they're going to tell you what they need and where they need it. But then you've got to figure out that JTAC, excuse me, incredibly well trained, like elite capable asset in the military, right? But they're not in the air. And so if they're trying to describe something to your A-10 brother and sister, well, I've got the aerial vantage point. And so I think what was coolest to me, being very specific to the mission of the Kiowa, was like, I can see the side of the building that JTAC is trying to talk a target off of. And I can see what my brother and sister above me is seeing. And so I can be a really great translator. And so it was, I mean, I kind of get like goosebumps thinking about it, right? Like talking from that JTAC to that A-10, helping get effective rounds on target. And I think that this is probably like a misconception a lot of people have about service members is I never wanted to just spray and pray, right? Like that was never the goal of anybody that I served with. We wanted to bring the fight to the right people at the right time, at the right place. And so to see how incredibly like in a war zone, like considerate to the fact that we are trying to fight the right people at the right time in the right place. And also the just extreme precision that we can operate in. Like, I wish more people understood that, right? Like when I talk about an A-10 Warthog, I'm not talking about a Hiroshima situation, right? Like we can be incredibly precise with what we're doing when given the opportunity to do so. So yeah, it's a weird thing to be proud of, but it was just, it was a day where I really appreciated the amount of time, training, professionalism of everybody from the ground to the ISR platform in the air. Yeah, it was an extremely interesting observation of what America can do. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, the precision of it is not the thing that everybody sees in the news to go, this is how good we are. The only thing that people want to see in the news is how we messed something up, right? But they don't understand like how much goes into it all the time, right? There's a constant flow of things that happen. And, you know, we're going to pick the 3 words out of the paragraph that we can raise the most hell about. And then that's, you know, kind of what they're going to do. So I'm glad that we get to talk to you to hear that, right? Because people need to hear that we're out there. We're not just, like you said, we're not like throwing it and going, I hope it sticks against the wall because this is going to be cool, right? It's like you have a specific thing. So thank you for describing it that way, because you're right. A lot of people don't understand. And it's something to be proud of that we are very specific and very targeted in what we're doing. We're not just going out there and just laying hell on everything. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I mean, and also, and like we're humans, right? Like service members don't come home with PTSD because we're heartless, cold people who want to hurt others. Like we come home hurting because we've seen the worst of the worst, right? Like I have listened to men cry over the radio because they just had to shoot a young Afghan girl who wouldn't put the gun down. And then to find out later, like it was suicide by military because she had been betrothed to like some 85-year-old goat farmer, right? Like we are humans and we don't want to have to, but we've been given a mission to do. And so the question then is like, well, how are you going to execute that mission? And every service member I have ever had the privilege of working with wants to do their job professionally and with precision. And yeah. And so I think that that's something I try to share is as often as I can is we want to do good, you know?
Absolutely. That's the only reason we're there, right? That's what we're trying to do. So how long was that deployment for you?
9 months. Yeah.
And did you do more than one deployment, or was that?
No, that was the only one. I came home. We got the official order when we were deployed that when we came home, we would be shutting down our unit and divesting the Army of the entire fleet of Kiowas. So I came home and in short order was getting out. Yeah, big boo to that. So that was kind of the start and end of my aviation career.
Right. So once that happened and you got back and they're going to decommission them, how many years did you have it at that point?
When we got back, it would have been end of 2014. So I had 3 years in and had 5 left to do.
And so what happened next? I think I know, but like what happened next?
Yeah. So, got rid of our aircraft and at that point I was pinning captain and was going to be pretty expensive to retrain and refly. And so I was talking to aviation branch about like, the future of my career. And they said, well, come down to the captain's career course and we'll figure it out, which was Army talk to me of, we have no idea what we're going to do with you.
We're just going to like throw it. We're going to throw a Hail Mary. We're going to spray and pray and whatever it lands on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and back to the music thing, Fort Campbell is so close to Nashville. And I would go to Nashville all the time to hang out and party and go on Broadway before Broadway got insane. And we were a downsizing force. And so there were a lot of senior captains that had like 1 and 2 years left on their commitment that they were letting out so they could go to grad school, whatever. And I remember thinking like, oh, well, maybe I could get out too. And then I'm like right by Nashville and I could go do the music thing. And if I'm being dead honest, probably 70% of the reason I didn't do that was I was just too chicken shit to do it. And was too, like, there were a number of times I went to Nashville and like got somebody's number and I was going to go hang out with them and maybe jam and then just never did. And I wish I could go back and psychoanalyze myself of like, you just got home from Afghanistan, girl. Like, what are you scared of?
I was just about to ask you that question. Like, you just went through all this stuff, but you're like, play music in front of people and go do it. Nah, I don't know if I could do that. Meanwhile, you're dodging rocks, bullets, and all this other stuff. And you're like, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But I know a good portion of it was like, I was just too scared either to admit to myself or admit to the world that like what I really wanted to do was go do music. I mean, certainly probably it is there's a perception that it's like a pretty frivolous career to be an entertainer or be a songwriter. Right. And I was big, serious Army captain. So there was definitely an element of that. So I ended up at Fort Bragg to do a branch transfer into the civil affairs career course. They still had not opened up the special operations aviation regiment to women yet. And so that was off the table. There were quite a few Kiowa folks that ended up going that route, which I think speaks very highly of the Kiowa community. But yeah, so I kind of took it upon myself to try a different branch in the Army, and it lined up timeline wise that would be the right time to go civil affairs. Did not really enjoy it. We were 2 weeks away from finishing the course. I had done the language training. I had done the career course. I had done all the cultural study, blah, 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 blah. And I broke my wrist on a jump and kind of had the come to Jesus moment of like, yeah, I don't think I want to go dig wells in China kind of thing. So
when you say you broke your wrist on a jump, what kind of jump are we talking about?
We're talking about airborne jump out of a
nice. I'm glad you brought that up. So
yeah.
My favorite question to everybody in the Army that's ever done this is, why would you jump? And you're a helicopter pilot, okay? So let's just be, straight there. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good flying machine that has a seat for you in it?
Because Uncle Sam told me I had to.
Okay, that's the best answer I've had. Ty's like, this is the most awesome thing on the planet. No, it's not.
I hated it.
So I hated it. Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, to go into the special operations world, I had to be airborne qualified. And so, and like people in the, and this is again, funny part about being a veteran, right? Like people in the civilian world, it's like, oh, you got your jump wings. It's like, yeah, but like in the military world, that doesn't really mean anything. I only have 6 jumps. Like I did airborne school and then I broke my arm on my first jump out of airborne school. So like,
I tried it. It wasn't for me, but I got the the trophy to prove that I participated, right?
Yeah, I got the participation badge for sure. And the x-ray scan of the broken humerus to prove it. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so then where and you still have time left in from there, right? So where does that take you then?
Yeah, so I was at Fort Bragg. I was pretty sure I was going to get out of the Army. So then so I'm out of the soft world, back into big Army aviation. And I just was begging my branch manager, like, don't move me. I lived in Southern Pines, had an incredible group of friends, great church family, great little house. And I just was saying to the aviation branch, I was like, just do not move me. Like, I have 18, 19, maybe 20 months left on my commitment. Like, I will literally take any job you have at Fort Bragg. So I ended up filling in while I was still doing like med recovery. I filled in for almost a year as I had several years left on my commitment at that point, like 2 or 3. So I filled in as a finance officer at this Special Forces Training Battalion, which was funny. And then moved over to Force Com headquarters. So I worked at a 4-star command headquarters at Fort Bragg, and it was a terrifying, eye-opening experience to be that high up in the echelon.
Oh, I got you. So any funny stories about you're working in finance, and let's say you make a mistake. Did you ever get to tell them, look, guys, I'm just a helicopter pilot. I don't do this finance stuff for fun. You know what I mean?
Listen, if there's one thing about me, it's that I'm going to do everything 110%. So I learned everything I could learn about being a finance officer for that 8-9 months, whatever I did it. And I remember, here's what I learned is like, it's all monopoly money. It is all made up. Like, there was a finance officer above me who I remember like running the numbers on the Excel sheet one day and being like, we're going to run out of money before the end of the year for blah, 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 blah. And I called him and I was like, hey man, I think we're going to run out of money. Like, we're going to need more fuel. We're going to need more travel dollars, blah, blah, blah. He's like, it'll be fine. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean it'll be fine? Like, the number is negative at the end of this.
Yeah.
And he goes, don't worry about it. And of course, my whole experience was like, we don't have enough money to buy you fuel for your helicopter. Like, I believed the money was real. It's not real. Every time I was like, hey, I think we're going to run out of money. Someone's like, don't worry about it. And the next time I opened the Excel sheet, like, there's more money.
But you were with special operations units at that time, right? Yeah, of course.
Yes. And so, and
like,
we
we're
have
like the mob. You don't think we have money, but it's still there. It'll come in. Don't worry about it.
And like the different colors of money. Yeah, no, it was, it was all shenanigans.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So did you finish your time out in the Army there?
Yes, I did. I stuck to I did a little over 8 years. Yeah. And got out August of 2019. So
for us, we like to ask anyone and everyone we talk to has made the transition, right? A couple of people we talk to are still in the transition phase. So it's always interesting talking to them. But what was that transition like for you? Did you know what you wanted to get out and do? Were you trying to figure it out again, right? Did you have the thought of maybe flying in the civilian world? Like, what was your plans getting out and what was your transition like?
Yeah, I'm grateful to like have the skill to fly, that if I ever just like straight up need a job, I could go back to that. But I didn't love flying for the sake of flying. Like, there are aviation just nerds out there, right? That just love talking about airfoils. I'm not one of them. I loved the mission, like the recon mission. So aviation, the only time I really thought about it was like doing search and rescue on kind of a volunteer basis. So I looked into that a little bit, but not as a job. What I did do though was make a decision matrix. I took like all the jobs I was like vaguely interested in from my neighbor at the time was an electrician. And I was like, I could go apprentice with Charlie, electrician. I put that down and I put law school on there, and I put like forestry, conservation officer, college professor, whatever. Like, I just made a list, and then all the things I loved about different parts of being in the Army, right? Like, I loved the leadership aspect. I loved the service aspect. Definitely didn't mind the money. What I was like kind of looking for in a job. And then I just kind of rank ordered everything. And it was between law school and being an electrician.
I knew that was going to be the other one.
Yeah.
I was like, it's going to be law school and electrician. As soon as you brought electrician up, I was like,
Yeah.
do I want to shock myself every day? No.
Yeah. No. But yeah, so ended up picking the law school route just because I think, you know, being an electrician is not for the faint of heart. And I was married at the time. And so it was just kind of one of those like, okay, well, we're on to the next thing. And I am grateful. Like when I got out, the unit that the 4-star headquarters I was working at, like I was the junior most person. And I got to see a lot. I got to learn a lot, but I was kind of on a decompression route on my way out. I wasn't in charge of anybody else. I didn't have PT every morning. Like it was my job to pass my PT test and like nobody really gave a shit otherwise. So yeah, I got out, I did a big road trip across the country, and then started law school. And I was kind of like, y'all just want me to sit in a room and read all day? Okay. Like that like found a corner in the library and just read cases all day. And that was
first question in law school. Is anyone going to ask me about a transmission? No, I just got to read. Okay, cool. I'll do that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you said, where did you go to law school?
Campbell University Law School in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Nice. So what was the experience like of going to, and I don't mean it to be bad or what, regular college versus being at West Point? And after you've already served in the military, you've got life experience, you know, you've led people, you've been in charge of things. Obviously you've been shot at, you've done a lot of adrenaline cool shit. And now you're in regular college with regular kids. What was that adjustment for you like?
I've been told on a handful of occasions that I can be intimidating. So apparently I was intimidating. I don't know. I it was just such a weird time, right? Because it was I think my second semester when COVID hit. So we had done a fall semester 2019 and then March 2020, we don't go back from spring break. So I think like the transition was kind of weirdly like everyone went through something weird together. And so I don't know that I certainly felt different than a lot of the law school students because that first semester, they're all still thinking this is undergrad, like going out and partying, not doing their homework, thinking they can skate. Like most people who get into law school did okay in undergrad, probably without having to try too hard. And so I think, you know, it was pretty easy for me to just like go to school, go home, be with my husband and the dogs and like do my big grown-up girl thing. And then in pretty short order, we were all in this really weird boat together. And then my husband moves out and now I'm in this other weird world where like I don't really want to talk to anyone. Like that semester he moved out, I didn't tell anyone what was going on. And so I'm still going to school under my married name, being called on under my married name. Like, and then the next semester, all of a sudden I'm like, back to my maiden name, not wearing a wedding ring. Like, so yeah, I think all that made it weirder than being a veteran, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. Your instructor's like, why is she being so mean to me? I'm just saying her name. Well, let me tell you. You will respect
this
my
asshole.
authority.
Yeah.
That sucks. It sucks. So what kind of law did you want to practice? Or what kind of law did you practice? Like you graduated from law school?
Yeah. I graduated May of 2022, sat for the July North Carolina bar. And yeah, this is where I'm just like, if you don't believe in divine intervention, I don't know. I have some options to present to you as to why I think it's real.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So so ex-husband moves out. Dad comes to town to kind of help, like, let's make sure you're eating something, showering, brush your teeth. Like that, those first couple of weeks where it felt like the world was going to end in the real world and in my world. And he was like helping pack some of my ex-husband's stuff up and found this old guitar. And he was like, why don't you start playing again? And so I start playing with no real intention of like becoming a songwriter. It was really just like, I got to do something that's going to get all this crap out of me. And at the same time as that, I had some law professors who were like, hey, you should really consider a judicial clerkship after law school. It's kind of the military equivalent, I say, is like aide de camp. Like if you have a judicial clerkship on your resume as a lawyer, that's like big gold star. Very competitive, especially in like the federal court world. And I kind of laughed at them because Campbell's a pretty no-name law school, not ranked high at all. And most judges are pretty candid. They're like, I'm not even going to open your application if you're not from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, something like that. So I kind of laughed at all of them. I was like, I mean, I can apply, but like, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. And they were like, we really think you ought to apply. So 187 job applications later, I got one interview and one offer to work for a judge here in Jackson, Tennessee. And it was like a Zoom interview, and he saw a guitar in the background and was like, do you play? And I said, yeah, I dabble. I do a little songwriting. And that was a whole year before I graduated. The hiring process for that's pretty far out. And so accepted that job, knew I was coming to Jackson, Tennessee. And when I walked into his chambers on my first day, there's like Rolling Stone poster number 1, Rolling Stones poster number 2, Fender B-Bender, like a whole wall of acoustic guitars. So yeah, that's when I was kind of like, okay, so maybe I can tell him I'm now like taking the songwriting thing a little bit more seriously. And Judge York has become one of my biggest cheerleaders, kind of setting the law stuff aside and going whole hog into music. So yeah.
So when you accepted the job, that's when the music was like, let's do it. So did you ever, or do you ever still do things? Are you still practicing as a lawyer? Do you do stuff in that world, or is it more focused on music? Or
somehow I've become kind of the like fill-in law clerk here in West Tennessee. So that was a 2-year contract. I worked for Judge York, and as a law clerk, you see everything that your judge sees, right? So I did some Fourth Amendment criminal stuff, a lot of civil litigation, dealt with a lot of pro se litigants. So our friends who represent themselves and file lawsuits against like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Queen of England. So I've kind of touched every area of law. And so that was a 2-year gig. And right now I'm covering down for a law clerk position for a Court of Appeals judge here in Tennessee, just as a 6-month stint. So I'm almost done with that. I'll be done with August. And then I'm taking some more time off to just do music full time. And maybe we'll find another part-time, short-term law clerk position to help pay some bills when I need to. So yeah.
Sure. So all of this, West Point, flying helicopters, getting out, becoming a lawyer, and still coming back to the thing that you told your parents you were going to drop out of high school and do, right? So at the end of the day, your parents are now probably like, I guess you could try it now. You've done everything else, right? So it sounds like once you picked up the guitar at the advice of your dad to just start playing again, is that when you said you were writing songs, kind of get all that craziness that was in your life like out so you could express it, right? Kind of get through that. But what point in all of that did you say, I think I need to release records, I want to do shows, I want to entertain people, I want to get in front of people and share the gift of music? Like where did that come in, and what moment was it that made you go, yeah, I'm going to go do this now?
I mean, this is where I got to talk about God. I grew up going to church in the Methodist church with an uncle who's a Methodist minister, and kind of had God as like an intellectual being. And I knew all the right phrases to say. I knew all the things like peace of Christ be with you, peace be with you, all that stuff. The word of God for the people of God. But I didn't like no like believe in a real serious way. But when your car breaks down and your dog gets cancer and your grandma dies and your ex-husband runs off with a blonde to Texas in the middle of a global pandemic, you kind of go like, okay, if there's a big man up there, we got to talk. So I'm grateful that God has been patient with me over time to kind of help me see that this is something he has been calling me to for a long, 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 long time. And has definitely given me grace to run off and do all the world-saving things I wanted to do and try and be big, important, and have all the titles and the degrees and the licenses and whatever. But it really was just hands down, without a doubt, sitting in the big leather chair in my living room in North Carolina, starting to pray every morning, asking the why God questions, and him saying, well, because you're not doing what I'm asking you to do, sis. I tell people all the time, like, I got married because I was really tired of being the weird 20-something-year-old girl in the military. Like, oh, you can't get a boyfriend. You're around men all the time. Being the last single girlfriend, being the odd wheel at dinner, and all the cultural pressures to be married and with someone. And so I thought I was doing the right thing. And I thought I was doing the right thing by serving my country. And I thought I was doing the right thing by going to law school. And in the end, learning that, no, the right thing is doing what God has been calling me to do. And so, yeah, it was all those early mornings over a cup of coffee, crying and asking, okay, well, I keep trying to project manage my life and it keeps turning up wrong. So what do you want me to do?
It always went back to music though, right? It always went back there. And so he allowed you to go do all those things. His patience with you was to do all the world-saving things and chart your life so that you could come back now and write music that people resonate with, to show them that at the end it'll all work out and be okay. Because I don't know how you feel about it, but when you listen to a lot of songs, those bangers that you remember, they're not always happy. They're not always saying everything's awesome. They always start with something shitty and then it ends in something that it's going to be all right. Those are the, when you remember a lot of those songs for whichever, genre, whatever you listen to, like, music is there to help you get through those times. Right. And so now I think he's like, okay, well, now it's time to take all the stuff I allowed you to gather. You got all the intel, you flew all the missions. It's now time to put that into music so people can get through things. That's what I would say anyway, right? That's what I think of it.
No, I'll take that interpretation. It's one I've definitely had too, of kind of the, what would I have even been writing about if I had done this at 18, 19, 20 years old? I don't think I would have had any wisdom really to share, or the ability to laugh about anything. I wouldn't have been able to take the serious stuff and learn how to have a sense of humor about it. And I certainly don't think I'd have the faith that I have now. So yeah, no, I mean, and I had the number of times I roll my eyes about all the kind of trite sayings of oh, he'll make a garden out of ashes. And it's he works all things for his good. Yeah. Okay. The Hobby Lobby token phrases, I guess, well, I guess some of them are true.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, he works in such mysterious ways that when you're asking all those things and praying about it in a lot of cases, and I'm not saying that I've been given a whole bunch of answers. I'm not even saying that I do that stuff as much as I should, but you do know that there's a lot of times where he's like, I've been showing you the whole time. The problem is you're still trying to tell your mom, I'm dropping out and doing what I want. You don't know what's good, right? And he's like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But eventually you'll get to see it. And, what would you have written about at 18? My mom is not letting me live my life. And what am I going to do? And that'd have been, in a sense, that'd have been good for a one-hit wonder, right? Because a lot of young girls are like, yeah, that's crazy. But
I did write a song about my brother getting a parking ticket.
Nice. Tell me you still sing it.
No.
Come on. Not even at family gatherings? Come on.
No. I know my dad has a recording of it somewhere, and I'm pretty sure the chorus starts off with like no parking, one-way streets. Just like, what were we doing, sis?
I mean, you're exploring that creative outlet. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
super fun. That's awesome. Well, I'm sure that you've seen some of our stuff in
Mhm.
preparation. Well, you got to answer all the easy questions already because they were your questions and your story
Yeah.
and what you get to do. Now, Ty is to put you on headphones kind of make it comfortable before we get to all the things we can support you. But before that, it's Ty's turn.
Let's hear it, Ty.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, I really appreciate you being on the show. I mean, lawyer, West Point, aviation pilot, artist. The whole, as you're telling your whole story, and then the pandemic happened, and all the litany of things happened. It seemed like it was a perfectly ripe situation for you to write a song about it and kind of return to some childhood loves, and the fact that you're a lawyer, you represent yourself. So everything you've done has set yourself up for success, and that's what we do on the show is tell veteran success stories, and I appreciate yours. But we like to have fun with the Triple Threat Vet Hot Seat. So first question, what was the first concert, and what's your favorite concert?
First concert, I think, was the Beach Boys at the Illinois State Fair. And then I think my favorite concert would have been, I love Tyler Childers, and I got to see him at Mempho last year. So I'd say that one is up there for sure.
Oh, very nice. So we talk about all the time on the show how music is kind of ingrained into our service, whether it be emotional things that you're dealing with, whether it be hyping yourself up for a mission. What was on your pre-mission playlist, man?
Oh my gosh. Brandy Carlisle's album Bear Creek and Need to Breathe and the Avett Brothers. Some mixture of those three.
Oh, very nice. Love it. What's the most unique place in the world you've ever visited?
Afghanistan.
What part of Afghanistan was the most interesting? I mean, I spent 3 years of my life in Afghanistan, and there's a lot of, as crazy as it sounds, there's a lot of really picturesque, beautiful, scenic mountains, especially in the Bagram Bowl. But wax poetic about someplace in Afghanistan.
I would say definitely like over on the west southwest side of that Bagram Bowl, like all of the villages that are just like kind of stepped up into the mountains. Like I never thought I'd see that in real life. Like you see that in movies and stuff, but it's out there and it's real. And then I would say I didn't go to Kabul a lot. But the handful of times that we went there to respond to something, that city is wild looking from the air, for sure.
Love it. All right. If you had 1 hour conversation with one person from history, what would you talk to them about, and who would it be?
It would be, oh my gosh, Ethel Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt's daughter. He is quoted as saying, because apparently she was a Spitfire and causing trouble. And some interviewer asked him, like, President Roosevelt, what are you going to do about your daughter? And he said, I can be president or I can be Ethel's dad. I can't be both. And I want to meet her so bad. And I want her to tell me stories that they were writing about in the news about her.
I love that answer. Excellent answer. What's the biggest military habit that you picked up that you keep to this day and it helps you out in everyday life?
I eat so fast. I inhale my food all the time.
Protecting it. You want nobody to get around you?
Yes.
I hear you. Excellent. All right. Here's maybe a difficult one, maybe very easy for you. Give me your Mount Rushmore of singer-songwriters.
Oh my God. John Prine, Lori McKenna, BJ Barham, and then is it too cheesy to like put my buddy Joe Kyle up there?
Oh no, it's not cheesy at all. Like that's the width and breadth of the artist. That, you know, I don't know a lot of those names, but like, tell me about the guy John. Like what?
John Prine?
Yeah, he's
Oh my
got.
gosh.
Tell me about him.
Yeah, he is one of like the Americana world. I'd say he's probably not George Washington of the Americana music genre, but he's definitely one of the founding fathers. He's also Illinois boy. He wrote Angel from Montgomery that Bonnie Raitt made really popular. And he's got a song In Spite of Ourselves that I think just is like the most humorous love song you could write. And yeah, I just admire him so much. He has since passed away. But yeah, he'd have to be up there. Well, oh my gosh, and Chris Christopherson and Tyler Childers. Yeah, all those guys. But John Prine, if you don't know, if you have not heard his name, I know you have still heard his music.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of times with songwriters that are prolifically just songwriters, you hear their music every day and you have no idea. That's why I love when documentaries cover those guys. All right, if you have to sing a song that's not yours, what's your go-to cover song?
It kind of changes. Right now, we're doing a lot of Tyler Childers. So I keep saying Tyler Childers' name. We're doing oh my gosh, early in the morning. Oh, it's not White House Red. I can't remember the name of it. This is so silly. But I just say Tyler Childers on stage and the band knows. But we're also doing I Get By with a little help from my friends right now, and that one is slapping, and that one's doing really well for us. So I'd say between those two, those are the two cover songs I would say we're going for right now.
Excellent. Love it. All right. You got to help us settle a debate. We talk about on the show, who's the greatest of all time, Prince or Michael Jackson?
It's hard knowing what we know now to say Michael Jackson. But I would say, well, as a songwriter, I'm going to say Prince because I think Prince was a more influential artist on artists. I think Michael was a more influential artist on culture. And that's pretty controversial because I know there's some Prince stans who are all day, every day. But more people know Michael than they know Prince. The catalog, at least, I think that's true. So yeah, I think I'm going to say Prince because I'm a songwriter. And I think he was more influential on artists. But I get...
That's what I'm talking about. Here we go.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, So you're episode number 58, and it's it's contentious, and some people give some outlandish. How could you even compare Prince to Michael Jackson? But then we get enlightened individuals like yourself to come on and wax poetic about why Prince is the artist that's your favorite. That he's your artist's favorite artist. So as you can see, he's up 60-49 now. All right, ma'am. What advice would you have for young aspiring artists that don't want to quit high school and go to Nashville, don't necessarily want to go to West Point, just young aspiring artists? What would be your best advice for them?
I don't know that. Don't lose yourself in it. I think that there's a tendency, I go to Nashville quite a bit to write and be like on the industry side of it. And there's so many snake oil salesmen that are telling you how to run your business, telling you what to write about, how to write it, what the tricks to success are. And I certainly have a long mountain to still climb to whatever peak you want to put in front of me. But don't lose yourself. Know what your North Star is and stay true to it. and try your damnedest to not let people pull you off of that, because they will try. Hell
yeah, I love it. Last question. It's kind of an AAR here. What can we do to make our podcast better? Actually, I got a bonus question first before you do the AAR. So if you had to give your 30-second pitch to the Secretary of War to bring the OH-58D Kiowa Warrior back, what would it be? Go.
I'd pee my pants. I mean, listen, if they called me up tomorrow and said, we're bringing the Kiowa back, are you in? It'd be a hell yeah. And I think everyone who flew it would say hell yeah too. You can't do recon from a fixed wing platform, and Apaches are too big. You need something light, lethal, highly deployable, rough and ready, and that's your Kiowa. Bring her back.
I'm on board. All right, I'm going to bring Matt back in. The last question we have for you for the hot seat is, what can we do to make our podcast better?
I don't know. This has been a real joy and pleasure. I don't often get to talk about like the early days, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. Probably if we could get rid of the beat Army, go Navy BS, that would definitely elevate the experience on my end. That may not
says
be
the West
everyone.
Pointer. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to go 0-4 and not have that opinion. Just saying.
Why do you gotta be
There's
bringing up
another eye
old?
roll.
Who knows, though? There will be an Army-Navy game that we will all see each other at one day. I bet you.
One day.
You'll probably be singing the national anthem. We'll have to have bought a ticket, but we'll get to be from the stands and go, we know her. Ask
Come
her.
on
She
now.
knows us. Then you'll be like, did one of them say go Navy beat Army? I don't know those fucking guys.
I don't know him. Ty, you're good.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
Go Army,
funny.
beat Navy.
Go
Ma'am,
Army.
if you before we get out of here, just if you don't mind, for the audience, just tell everybody about Hope MacGregor Music and what you're doing and how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, I'm on all your social platforms at Hope MacGregor Music. You've got to put the AM there, so it's like the basketball, not the fighter. And then I've got a website. If you go over there, I do have a mailing list and like sign up for text message alerts. Y'all, I've had it for probably 4 years, and I think I've sent 3 emails. So if you sign up, I promise I'm only going to send you the most important information. So yeah, you can go follow on socials, sign up for your email distro. If you have if you're super into live music and you have like bands in town, I have a profile there you can follow, and you'll get notifications on all my shows. Yeah, and then I'm on all your streaming platforms, wherever you want to listen to music. I've got 2 albums and a new single out, so you can find me under Hope MacGregor wherever you listen. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much.
What's the furthest you traveled to play?
I think the furthest we've gone, and we're going back in September, is Colorado. So.
Okay. You ever been to Texas?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You ever been to Texas in February?
No. I keep
Houston,
making the
Texas
mistake.
specifically?
I would love to come to Houston, Texas in February. You just let me know where. I'll be there.
So we're gonna talk. I'm gonna see
Okay.
if I have a specific opportunity in mind for you.
Okay.
That I think you'll enjoy, but it's only if you're like barbecue.
No, I love barbecue. I've played like a barbecue competition before in Kansas, and that was a lot of fun.
There you go.
But yeah, well, and I will say the other way people can help if they're so inclined is I reach out to music venues all the time. I'm still kind of a no-name gal. I don't have millions of followers. And so places out of town really are like kind of hesitant to book me. But I'm having a whole lot more success with like people who know people. So if you know someone who has a live music venue and you're like, hey, we want you to come play, like just make the intro for me and I will take it from there, because booking people are just swamped with requests and I get it all the time. So to cut above the noise, if anyone has a live music venue that they have an intro to, just let a girl know. My email's on my website. So.
Oh yeah. I think we're gonna. We know some people, Ty. We know some people.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, go to HopeMacGregorMusic.com. Look, she's a Kiowa Warrior pilot. We can do the freaking air assault. I'm air assault qualified. She's airborne. We'll airdrop the whole thing. It's all.
I'll watch from the ground and call it on
Sling
the
load.
radio.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have the big light
Got it,
sticks.
baby.
We'll be good to go. Good to go. So if you have time, Hope, like I know that you're East Coast time, right?
Central.
Oh, you're Central. Perfect. So it's
Yep.
still late but early. If you have a moment and you want to hang out, I did want to talk to you a little bit about what I was just hinting on.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wanted to say, above all, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. I love your story. I love how you're so in tune with your story too that it motivates you to go do things in the future, right? It's pushing you forward. It's not holding you back. And I love how you embraced every part of it. And it was a pleasure to hear it. And I hope for all the young ladies out there, they're like, I want to do something freaking cool. What cooler thing can you do than fly a helicopter and have rocks thrown at you? I know there was bullets and stuff too, but that was the first thing you said got thrown at you. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
But thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you did for the country. Thank you for helping people in a legal sense, however that may be for you. And thank you for sharing your gift of music to the world, because we all know everybody remembers the song that was playing in the most important moments of their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank y'all so much for having me. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and hang out for a little bit. So,
and you're part of the family. So when the next single drops, the next album goes out, you're playing the biggest show you've ever played, and you want everybody to know, we're opening the invite for you to come back and tell everybody about it anytime you want. All you got to do is reach to me or Ty and go, I need 10 minutes. You got it.
Cool. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Hope MacGregor. Stand by, man. We'll be right with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent freaking show.
Cool. Hell yeah.
We
she did describe herself as the triple threat in the promo video. And when I saw that, I was like, dang, she just took our shit. But she is, for sure. Right? Flying helicopters, throwing the law book at you, and then she's going to sing about it later, dude. And so don't get it twisted. You mess up in court, you might hear about it, but not really know it's you, but be going like, did I do that shit in court? You probably did.
Future guest next week, we have Lisa Bradley, military spouse and the CEO of R Riveter.
My wife's favorite purse, by the way.
Yeah. I asked my wife, once you book this guest, I asked my wife, do you know R Riveter? And she's like, and her, you know how Sarah is, her eyes lit up. She's like, oh, yeah, I saw her on Shark Tank. And I was like, Shark Tank? Oh, shit. So, fun as hell.
Yeah.
But, that'll be next week.
That one's going to be awesome. What they do for vet spouses and how she works with them and helps them do that shit is so awesome. And like I said, my wife has a couple of R Riveter purses, and they're still going, and she's had them for a while. Like they don't wear out, man. So they're quality made. Of course they are, because it's military service member spouses making those things. So I'm excited to talk to her. That's going to be fun. It's probably going to be an expensive podcast, because after I'm probably going to go buy a purse, but whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking my wife's probably going to want one as well. Yeah, that'd be
all
cool.
Good, man.
They don't hire spouses to sell purses. They make purses to hire spouses. I love their business concept.
Hell yeah, dude.
Now they're taking care of military spouses, and with the PCS, we'll get into it next week.
Yep.
Cool. Hey, Matt, I appreciate you, bro. Take us out.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for joining. It's been another Thursday. We had another amazing guest. You probably learned something if you watched it live. If you didn't watch it live and you're listening to me now, I definitely know you learned something by listening to it. So comment, tell us what you like about it. And even if you're a hater, you can do that too. I promise Ty and Al will read them, because I don't read that shit. But somebody will see it, and they'll probably say thank you for supporting the show, even though you're being an asshole. But, either way you want to go. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, let them know that we're out there telling people's stories that they want to tell, because it's their story, and every veteran story is unique, important, and should be heard. And we just love being here every Thursday. So once you figure out that it's where you love to be on Thursday, you'll join live. But until then, like, subscribe, and follow on wherever you get your podcasts. And we'd love to talk to you one day. So reach out to us if you have a story to tell. Until next week, have a good day. Check on somebody. Make sure that person you haven't talked to in a while is the person that you call, because that may be the time that they need to hear your voice the most. And Al, happy birthday to the family member. We'll see you next week.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.